Let's start with something real. How many times have you been in a situation where your heart was racing, your throat tight, and you wanted to say something, but you didn't? You told yourself it's not worth it. You smiled, nodded, said it's fine, and walked away, only to replay that conversation 100 times later, wishing you had spoken up. We've all been there. We've all mistaken being nice for being respectful. But here's the hard truth. Being nice won't save you in difficult conversations. It'll silence you. It'll train others to ignore your boundaries. It'll make you small in moments when you were meant to stand tall. And I get it. You don't want to seem rude. You don't want to start drama. You just want peace. But peace doesn't come from silence. It comes from self-respect. And self-respect means being willing to speak the truth, even when your voice shakes. See, a nice is about comfort. A respectful is about clarity. Nice says, I'll stay quiet so no one gets upset. A respect says, I'll stay calm, but I won't hide what's true. Being nice avoids conflict. Being respectful handles it. When you're only focused on being nice, you avoid confrontation. But confrontation isn't always bad. Sometimes it's necessary. Sometimes confrontation is the moment where growth begins. Think about it. The people who truly respect you aren't the ones who always agree with you. They're the ones who can look you in the eye and say, hey, I think you're wrong, and you still feel safe talking to them. Why? Because respect doesn't live in agreement. It lives in honesty. We've built a world where being nice is praised more than being real. We tell people, don't rock the boat, keep it cool, just let it go, but all that does is keep you trapped in conversations that drain you, because you're prioritizing someone else's comfort over your own truth. And here's the cost: when you avoid discomfort, you also avoid growth. You don't just lose your voice, you lose yourself. Now let's talk about something most people get wrong. They think honesty and hostility are the same thing, that to be honest, you have to be blunt, aggressive, or cold. But that's not honesty, that's ego talking. Real honesty doesn't destroy, it clarifies. It's the difference between saying you're wrong and saying, here's how I see it differently. It's the difference between shouting to win and speaking to be understood. You can tell someone the truth without tearing them down. That's called emotional discipline, and emotional discipline is power, because anyone can explode, anyone can lash out, but staying calm while standing firm, that's control. That's what separates those who are reactive from those who are respected. The goal of communication isn't to dominate, it's to connect. And connection only happens when honesty and respect exist together. When you hide behind a niceness, you might keep things peaceful on the surface, but underneath tension grows. You become frustrated, misunderstood, and emotionally exhausted. But when you communicate honestly with empathy and clarity, you create space for real understanding, even if it's uncomfortable in the moment. Because the truth might sting, but lies burn forever. Now let's address the biggest misconception of all, that if you stand up for yourself, you're rude. That if you say no, you're selfish. That if you speak directly, you're too much. That's nonsense. You can be kind and firm at the same time, and that's not rudeness, that's maturity. Firmness doesn't mean aggression. Kindness doesn't mean surrender. You can hold your boundaries without raising your voice. You can disagree without disrespect. You can say no, that doesn't work for me, without apologizing for having standards. The people who say you've changed, when you start setting boundaries, they're just uncomfortable that you've stopped letting them cross them. Don't let that guilt pull you back into old patterns. Standing your ground isn't cold, it's clarity. Here's what most people never realize: boundaries don't push people away. They filter out the ones who were never meant to stay. When you finally stop over-explaining yourself, when you stop apologizing for saying no, when you stop letting guilt control your words, you begin to feel something powerful. Peace, real, lasting peace, because peace isn't the absence of conflict, it's the presence of self-control. Let me bring this home for you. Every difficult conversation is a test not of your knowledge, but of your composure. It's a moment to prove to yourself that you can stay calm, speak truth, and stand your ground, all without losing respect for the other person or yourself. Stop thinking your job is to make everyone like you. Your job is to speak truthfully, respectfully, and confidently. Not everyone will like that, and that's okay, because the right people will respect it. So next time you're in a hard conversation, try this. Pause, breathe, drop the need to be liked, focus on being clear. You don't have to be the loudest voice in the room, you just have to be the most grounded one. Don't apologize for having boundaries, don't shrink to make others comfortable. You weren't meant to be liked by everyone. You were meant to be respected by the right ones, because being nice might make people comfortable, but being real will make you free. And when you learn that difference, conversations stop being battles and start becoming opportunities to express, not suppress. To understand, not attack, to connect, not control. So no, being nice won't save you in difficult conversations. But being calm, honest, and firm, that will, because that's what real strength sounds like. This is where most people get stuck. They think silence equals peace, that if they just keep quiet, the storm will pass, but silence doesn't stop storms, it just delays them. Every time you bite your tongue to avoid conflict, the resentment grows quietly in the background. It builds, it festers, and one day, it explodes, not because you're angry at that one moment, but because you've been collecting small moments for too long. Peace that costs your voice isn't peace, it's surrender. You don't have to shout to be heard. You don't have to be harsh to make an impact. But you do have to speak, because your voice matters, your truth matters. Your feelings are not a burden, they are information. Silence protects others' comfort. Speaking protects your self-worth, and yes, it's uncomfortable, it takes practice, it takes courage. But confidence isn't built in comfort. It's built in those exact moments where you want to stay quiet but choose to speak anyway. So when that moment comes, and it will, breathe, pause, and speak anyway, even if your voice trembles, even if your heart races, even if it doesn't come out perfectly, because the point isn't to sound perfect, it's to be authentic. And when you start choosing honesty over avoidance, everything changes. Your conversations become clearer, your relationships become healthier. And most importantly, your self-respect becomes unshakable. So let me end with this. You don't owe anyone constant agreeableness. You don't have to carry the weight of everyone's comfort on your back. And you don't need to apologize for having boundaries. Being nice might make you liked, but being real will make you respected. And respect, a real, lasting respect, is what allows difficult conversations to build bridges instead of walls. So don't be afraid to speak. Don't trade your truth for temporary peace, because the moment you find your voice, you stop surviving conversations and start leading them, and that's when everything starts